So just a brief video here to finish up some connections to Tagawa that I didn't have time to show yesterday. And as you'll see, these are some pretty big connections, which is why I wanted to do this quick follow-up. So if we go from Tagawa's death to the 1-year anniversary of Michelle Trachtenberg's death on 2/26, is exactly 84 days. Or 2 months and 22 days for our 222 order out of chaos as above so below number. 2016 hours for our 216, another 84. And if we include the end date, it's our backwards 322 skull and bones, our backwards 58, Erica and Charlie wedding date, also the date that The Stand premiered, also the date that Deep Impact released. 12 weeks, 1 day. Remember, the 121st day of the year is May Day. And just to further show Michelle Trachtenberg's importance, going from her death date in the same year to the Seattle Space Needle opening date in the same year, 54 days for your backwards 45. Of course, you've also got your 12/6 numbers here. And if you include the end date, it's your buildings 1, 2, and 7 numbers, or 12/7 Pearl Harbor, 55 Satan number, 7 weeks, 6 days for your 76, backwards 6/7. And both of those always matter. The day before matters, and including the end date matters. That's why it mattered that Heather's came out the day before the Space Needle April Fool's prank. And they could both be 45, 47 days before 9/11. And don't forget the very big deal that Michelle Trachtenberg died exactly 9 months and 11 days before the 84-year anniversary of Pearl Harbor. 284 days, both your 2/8 and your 8/4. Also, 2 times 8 is 16. And the 164th day of the year is June 13th, the date that The Plague is released by Charlie Campion in The Stand. Again, that film released on 5/8. Has a lot of connections to all kinds of world events, including the Erica and Charlie Kirk saga. It's also the date that Taylor Swift is tentatively scheduled to be married. And it's right in the middle of all the important dates, 6/11, 6/12, 6/14. Also 40 weeks, 4 days, 44 the kill number. 77.81% of 2025, your 77 and your 81. Remember, the 81st day of the year is 3/22. But the biggest thing here is that Michelle Trachtenberg died exactly 9 months, 11 days before the 84-year anniversary of Pearl Harbor, because remember, Michelle Trachtenberg and Claire Kramer are all about the tower sacrifice. 9/11. If we go from Tagawa's death to Trump's 80th birthday next year, it's 193 days. The 193rd day of the year is July 12th. Remember, that's when Tagawa's co-star in Spellbinder, Kelly Preston, passed away, as your 12/7 Pearl Harbor numbers backwards. And wouldn't you know, it also just so happens to be 6 months and 11 days for your 6/11. If you go from Tagawa's death to the anniversary of the Butler ear clip, 222 days, your 222 order out of chaos as above so below number again. Also, I forgot to show how long it was from 420 to Tagawa's death. We all know why 420 is an important date. We know what important figure was born on that date. We know that Columbine, with its 9/11 connection, happened on that date. And wouldn't you know, it is exactly 228 days before Tagawa's death. Elvis died on the 228th day of the year. Remember, it can also be a 2/16 or backwards 84. And if we want to go from the day before that, 4/19, which of course is when the Oklahoma City bombing took place, it's 7 months, 15 days before Tagawa died. So you're backwards 5/17. Remember, 5/17 is the 137th day of the year, that big occultic, highly Masonic 137 number. 5/17 was, of course, Shannon Doherty's last day on Charmed in Season 3, Episode 22. It's why she died on 7/13, the same date as Trump's ear clip. It's all about that 137 number, the 33rd prime. And if we go from Tagawa's death back around to 420 next year, what did I just say? Is exactly 137 days, your huge occultic number, your 33rd prime number. Or if you want to say it like they do in the UK, 13/7, the date of Shannon's death and Trump's ear clip. Also, 4 months and 16 days is your backwards 6/14 Trump birthday. And I'm going from these important dates because Tagawa's death, to me, was an obvious signal towards the Space Needle. So I'm going to important dates about sacrifice and attacks. And remember how I said, it doesn't matter if it's 2 days there, one after the other. See, we go back to 4/19 next year. It's 136 days, but if you include the end date, it's the same as it would be going to 420. That's why Heather's About the Building Demolitionist, released 47 days before the demolition of the World Trade Center buildings, came out 1 day before the Seattle Space Needle April Fool's Day prank. Speaking of attacks, there's probably no more infamous attack than the 9/11. So going from that date to Tagawa's death in a single year, Tagawa died 84 days later. Again, your big 84 number. And your backwards 322 skull and bones in the days and months. Now, if we go from a day sooner to the Charlie Kirk incident, Tagawa died 85 days later, which of course is your backwards 5/8. Erica and Charlie's wedding date. And if we include the end date, 86. Like the 86 Charlie Kirk from the world stage. And also our backwards 522. We know all about the 522 at this point. The Buffy Tower Sacrifice episode. My next video is going to be all about why that episode aired on that date. Beyond what I've already stated, with the two 110s, one for each World Trade Center tower. And if we go back around from Tagawa's death to 9/11 next year, it's 281 days. That's important because the 281st day of the year is October 8th, and that is when the very first Mortal Kombat video game, actually arcade game, released back in 1992. And of course, Tagawa was most famous for playing Shang Tsung in the Mortal Kombat film. We also have a backwards 79 here. No, Trump will not be 79 when September 11th rolls around next year, but he was 79 when Tagawa died, and he will be 79 when 6/11 rolls around. If we go back around from Tagawa's death to Claire Kramer's next birthday, remember she also was involved in the Tower Sacrifice episode of Buffy. It's 273 days. The 273rd prime number is 1753. 7 plus 1 is 8. 5 plus 3 is 8. That's your 88 portal number. And remember, the gift, Claire Kramer's character Glory wanted to open the hell portal by sacrificing Dawn, played by Michelle Trachtenberg. 88 also equals Trump, and the movie Weapons which codes Trump via the character Gladys Lily in Gematria, opened on 8/8, the Lionsgate portal date. And it's also exactly 39 weeks after his death. Remember, Michelle Trachtenberg, who Claire Kramer, again, is involved in Buffy with, she died at the age of 39. And the percentage, we have a 47 forward, 47 backwards, with Trump's current age, 79. Remember that Tagawa was also in the Pearl Harbor film, which premiered on 5/21, going from his death to the next time 5/21 rolls around, 168 days. You say it like they do in the UK, that is 8/16 or 16/8. Elvis died on 8/16. Also 5 months, 17 days. Remember, 5/17 is the 137th day of the year. Shannon's final appearance on Charmed. 24 weeks for your backwards 42. And can you believe this? Remember that the Pearl Harbor premiere was in Hawaii on 5/21. That's when it premiered, 3 months and 22 days before 9/11. But the wide release in the United States was on 5/25, which is also when Shannon made her final appearance on Beverly Hills 90210 back in 1994. And if we go from Tagawa's death to the 5/25 date, it is 5/21, the Pearl Harbor premiere date. So going to the Pearl Harbor wide release from his death date equals the premiere date of Pearl Harbor. How incredibly interesting. And of course, 172 days for your buildings 1, 2, and 7, or 12/7 Pearl Harbor numbers. In fact, down here in the percentage of a common year, you have your 1, 2, 7 numbers again with a 47, Trump the 45, 47 president. And the weeks and days of 42 backwards, 44 kill number forwards. I mean, I used to play Mortal Kombat a lot back in the 90s, early 2000s. I watched the movie, so I knew who Tagawa was. I also seen a few other movies he's in. So there was no way I wasn't going to decode his death, but yeah, he connects to a lot of things apparently. His death is very encoded. Now, if we go from Tagawa's death to that important 5/22 date next year, it's 169 days. And the 169th prime number is 1009, or your 10/9 Yale Skull and Bones founding date. It can also be your 9/10 Charlie Kirk. And of course, 10 plus 9 is your occultic 19. The 169th day of the year is also June 18th, which can be your backwards 8/16 Elvis death date. And if we go from Tagawa's death to Shannon Doherty's next birthday, 4 months, 8 days for your backwards 84. Remember, Shannon also obviously connects to the Space Needle. I've shown you how. She's from Memphis. Obviously connected to Trump, as she died on the same date as his ear clip. Also, I want you to see how they do things, because it's also 129 days, and this is interesting. It goes to show you how deep they take these things. The 129th day of the year is May 9th, so 5/9. And that might not mean much at first, but when you realize that the 59th day of the year is February 28th, or 2/28, then it makes all the sense in the world, because remember that Elvis died on the 228th day of the year. It's like one big puzzle, and you have to put together the pieces. It's all interwoven. And again, of course, 228 can always be 2/16, and your backwards 84 as well. So a number that can seem innocuous at first actually has meaning if you dig into it. And honestly, I say that without realizing, but I just now realized this is also your backwards 921. And Charlie Kirk Memorial was on 921. I didn't even think about that until just this second. So again, it's a good thing I did look at that. 921, also Stephen King's birthday. You know, he has a lot of codes. I mentioned the Stand already. He's responsible for that. And I'm going to get to decoding that pretty soon. There's a lot to decode with that one. And again, as Shannon and Tagawa both obviously connect to the Space Needle, going from her actual birth date to Tagawa's death, 19,960 days. 960 plus 19 is 979. So that would be your Trump age, both forwards and backwards. And Tagawa died at the age. Trump's age is 79. Tagawa himself died at the age of 75. Way too young. Though for Shannon, it was even way too younger. And down here we have your backwards 227, the date the WOW signal was discovered, which very much connects to Elvis. It also connects to Comet Atlas. And your backwards 45, Trump the 45, 47 president. In fact, 45 backwards, 47 forwards. Shannon is 100% connected to Trump by dying on the date of his ear clip. Just like she connects to Elvis by being from Memphis. And 655 plus 22 is 677. You get both your 67 Elvis Water Jesse number and your 77 World Trade Center Pentagon Elvis death year number, along with your backwards 76 George W. Bush birth date. Also, if you want to include the end date from Shannon's birth to Tagawa's death, 9 plus 1 is 10. 9 plus 6 plus 1 is 16. 10, 16. Which, of course, is your backwards 611, upside down 911. And 54 plus 7 plus 23 is 84. So not only do we have our 4547, both backwards and forwards, we have our 84 in there as well, relating to Trump. Tagawa was also in this James Bond film, License to Kill. And for my money, out of all the Bond films, this one is the best one. And the film premiered in London on 6/13/1989. There's our June 13th date again. It was 13,323 days before Tagawa's death. 3 plus 1 is 4. 3 plus 2 plus 3 is 8. Backwards 8-4. Also 13 plus 323 is 336. So you get both your 33 and your 36666 number. And wouldn't you know, it also released 36 years, 5 months, 21 days before Tagawa's death. That's your 366's number. And your 5/21 Pearl Harbor premiere date. And the name of this Bond film is License to Kill. If you're in their beast system, it pretty much gives them a license to kill you, to sacrifice you, to use you as a means to whatever ends, whether it be just coding or something even more sinister. Down here in the months and days, we also have another backwards 12-7 or buildings 1, 2, and 7. They keep popping up. Just like that 5/21 Pearl Harbor premiere date keeps popping up. And since reading this backwards is 12/7/34, I thought to myself, hey, let's see what date we'll get if we add 34 days to 12/7. And wouldn't you know, it's January 10th, 110. The amount of floors in the 2 each of the two World Trade Center towers. And you know, I've been talking all about the 110s, the 522, how 5 times 22 equals 110, how there were two of them involved in the gift to give us 110, one for each tower. So yeah, how interesting that would land on 110. And not only 110, but 110, 226. Trachtenberg died, 226, and she was all about the tower sacrifice. She was in the 522 times 2 Buffy episode. So again, it all adds up. It all circles back around continuously. In fact, since the title of this Bond film, by far and away the best one in my opinion, is License to Kill, I'm going to play around a little more. I'm going to go 323 days after 1/3, January 3rd, and see what it lands on. And you see how this matrix works, my friends. I did exactly what I said, and it landed on 11/22, the anniversary of JFK's assassination. Like, what are the odds of that, huh? License to Kill. And speaking of Stephen King, he actually wrote a novel based around the JFK assassination date, so he connects to that as well. Now, getting back to Mortal Kombat, in the games and the film, the Thunder God character is Raiden. And look at his name in Gematria. You got your 33, you've got your 111. You know, the Space Needle opened on the 111th day of the year. Butler-born Mark Blucas was born on January 11th. And 9/11 leaves 111 days remaining in the year. And he gives us our big 666 in reverse Sumerian, as well as our backwards 162, 611 in Satanic. And 39, Michelle Trachtenberg's age when she passed away, or was sacrificed. There's also something that's like called Murdered by Numbers. I mean, I don't know a lot about it. I think there's like both a movie and a song. And it's like easy as 1, 2, 3. Murder by Numbers. I don't know as much about that as some people, but I've heard it before with the 1, 2, 3 thing. And Raiden is played by Christopher Lambert in the movie, you know, from the Highlander movies, the MacLeod or whatever it's called. I've never watched those movies, so I just know the name from pop culture. But Christopher Lambert is also in Southland Tales, which is incredibly coded, and which came out 666 months after Robert Zemeckis, the director of Back to the Future, was born. And that's no coincidence, especially since the director's previous film, Donnie Darko, specifically references Back to the Future in the film. There's also the character Sonya Blade. She gives us our 1, 2, 7 numbers again, our 55 Satan number, and our 613, which I've been talking about, and our 522. And again, I'm just using the most important ciphers here. I cut it down. The other ciphers, some have their importance, and others are much less important, but these are the truly key ciphers. And if you want to look at it this way, this is a 5-8 and 88 both. 5-8, of course, Erica, Charlie, wedding date, The Stand, premiere date, Deep Impact release date, and your 84 with a 44 kill number. Sonya was played by Bridget Wilson in the film. She has the bridge in the name. She connects to Sarah Michelle Gellar just like Michelle Trachtenberg does. In fact, she played Sarah Michelle Gellar's sister just like Trachtenberg did She played her sister in I Know What You Did Last Summer, which connects to the shooting in Southport, North Carolina, a few months ago. I was intending to decode that, but I keep getting delayed. Maybe I'll get to it one day, but it connects to the I Know What You Did Last Summer films and Anne Heche, etc. We also have Johnny Cage, who's in the film, the character. He kills Goro. Our 10-2, remember Shannon Doherty, born on the 102nd day of the year. 10-2 is the date where Frank makes his doomsday prophecy in Donnie Darko. Backwards 8-4. 16-8 or 8-16, Elvis death date. 42, Elvis death age. Backwards 2-16 are your forwards. George Bush Sr., birth date 1-8. Backwards 254, 9/11 is the 254th day of the year. So these character names are loaded. Goro, which sounds a lot like Garo. Of course, shout out to Jurassic Liars. Our 55 Satan number, our 33. Our 193, remember the 193rd day of the year is 7/12. The Pearl Harbor date backwards, 127. Kelly Preston, death date. Now in Mortal Kombat, the Nether Realm is called Outworld. Gives us our 128. The 128th day of the year is 5/8. You know what that means by now. Erica Charlie wedding date, the Stan premiere date, etc. Also 2 times 8 is 16, so it can be your backwards 6/11, upside down 9/11. Also 88, the portal number. And again, all about portals. You get to Outworld via portal. Backwards 84 here. And my birth date in reverse Sumerian, which is interesting because I share my birth date with the fictional character Donnie Darko. That film also about portals, time travel, etc. Liu Kang, the one who defeats Shang Tsung. Our 42. 11 times 4, 44, the kill number. Your 45. 320. The 320th day of the year is the upside down 9/11, 11/16. And Shang Tsung gives us both our 84 in Sumerian and our backwards 84 in Satanic. That is who Tagawa played, the shapeshifter. And shapeshift equals 666. Also the 111, the backwards 84. Remember the 59th day of the year is 228, and there are videos where they say Elvis shapeshifts. And yes, Outworld is known as the Nether Realm. Your backwards 9/11, backwards 4/5. Also, the sequel to the Mortal Kombat film is Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Tagawa appears in the sequel only via archival footage. But in that film, Outworld starts overtaking reality, the real world, and we see the World Trade Center being overtaken as well. The title of that film equals our 162 and our 81. Remember, 81 is the 81st day of the year is 322 Skull and Bones. And wouldn't you know, that movie released 10,240 days before Tagawa died on 12/4. And this is basically your 124, 12/4, or backwards 421 Space Needle opening date. And the movie came out the day before the JFK assassination date. And here is Bridget Wilson, who played Sonia in the first movie. Born on the backwards 529 JFK birthday. And remember, again, she has the bridge in the name. Like I said, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Mortal Kombat. In the movie, Shang Tsung kidnaps her and takes her through the portal to Outworld. She was born 19,063 days before he died. 9 plus 1 is 10, 6 plus 3 is 9, 10, 9, Yell, Skull and Bones founding date, or backwards 9, 10. And wouldn't you know, here we have our 522 date yet again. And 52 plus 2 plus 9 equals 63, the current age of the Space Needle, which is how old it was when Tagawa died. And over here in the percentage of a common year, we have our 522 yet again, as well as our 222 Order Out of Chaos, as above so below number, with a backwards 47. And since Bridget Wilson and Michelle Trachtenberg both played Sarah Michelle Gellar's sister, from Wilson's birth to Trachtenberg's death, 18,782 days. 8 plus 1 is 9, 7 plus 8 plus 2 is 17. So this would be a backwards 719. Remember, 719 is Trump's reverse birth date. Now right here we have twin 51 numbers, and 51 plus 51 is 102. Remember, the 102nd day of the year is 4/12, Shannon's birth date. Also 10/2 is the Darko date. And 617 plus 1 is 618, you're backwards 816. Also, 26, 83 weeks in one day, add that 1, it's 26, 84. 84 in the year 26. Michelle, all about those 26 codes. So yeah, going from the two actresses who played Gellar's sisters, some interesting numbers. One died in real life, and one died in the movie. And this is Trevor Goddard, who played Kano in the first movie. He was actually born the same year as the Space Needle. In fact, he was born the very next day after Kelly Preston was born, October 14th. And he died 6/7/2003. You know what 6/7 means by now. So if we go from his date to Tagawa's date, 82 16 days. We have our 2/16 backwards 6/12 George Bush Sr. birth date in there. 2 times A is 16, so this would be twin 16 numbers as well, 16 16. And in that case, 6 plus 1 is 7, and 6 plus 1 is 7 for your 77 World Trade Center Pentagon Elvis death year number. Of course, 8 plus 2 is also 10. So this will be your backwards 6/11, 9/11 upside down. Right here we have both your 5/22 date backwards and your 5/27 Golden Gate Bridge birth date forwards. And if you add those numbers up, you get 54, or your backwards 45. And we have yet another 5/22 over here in the percentage of a common year, backwards. Since Goddard was born the same year the Space Needle opened, going from the opening date to his death date, 15,022 days. We get your 5/22 numbers again. 5 times 1 is just 5, so yeah, 5/22 exactly. But if you want to go 5 plus 1, it's 6, and as your backwards 226, Michelle Trachtenberg death date. I mean, it never fails. It just keeps adding up constantly. And over here in the weeks, 2,146. You say it like they do in the UK, it's 14/6, 6/14 Trump birthday, or 21/4/4/21, the opening date of the Seattle Space Needle. And if we go from the Space Needle's opening date to Goddard's birth date in the same year, 5 months, 23 days, you're backwards 3/25. And March 25th is the 84th day of the year. In fact, that reminds me, from my video about Atlas, I went from the Deep Impact release date to the so-called Discovery of Comet Atlas date. And down here, there was a 3/25 forwards, 325 backwards. I forgot to mention that that is 84 twice because it's 325 forwards, 325 backwards, and 325 is the 84th day of the year. So just wanted to show that real quick. And of course, 176 days. Your 76 plus 1 is 77. 76, George W. Bush Jr., birth date, 77, the World Trade Center, which George W. Bush was the 9/11 president. And before I go, I wanted to mention the FIFA World Cup thing, as Trump received the ridiculous FIFA Peace Prize. And I showed this to Garo, or Jurassic Liars, back in either March or April of this year. He probably doesn't remember it by now, but it is the official poster for Seattle, as they are part of the FIFA World Cup 26. And it goes from 6/11 to July 19th. Now, aside from the obvious 6/11, remember that July 19th is Trump's reverse birth date. I learned that by decoding Fearless, because Fearless was based on the flight 232 that crashed on July 19th, 1989. 232 also can be your 322 Skull and Bones, of course. So, coded all around for 6/11 and Trump's reverse birth date. And also, the artist was Shogo Oda. And Shogo Oda is an anagram for either shoot goat or goat shoot. And remember, Garo says that Elvis is the sea goat. And yeah, a pretty interesting poster here. Looks like stormy waters with a whale tail coming up. That looks like it forms a bit of a bridge. And the mountain, I forgot the name of the mountain in Seattle area. Mount Rainier, maybe, I don't know. But it sort of looks like a nuke explosion coming up in a way. And of course your soccer ball. But anyway, I just wanted to remind people of that, along with throwing in the rest of the stuff relating to Tagawa. Now, I wanted this to be a brief video, but it wound up being a lot longer than I anticipated. But oh well. My Memphis video is coming soon. All glory to God, and thank you very, very much. I appreciate anyone watching. But before I go, because I'm constantly forgetting things, Shogo Oda in Gematria equals 37, your EL number, and of course, your backwards 6/11. So anyway, thanks for watching. All glory to God.